Hi friends, it's me, Kate, your friendly neighborhood yogini. I was thinking today that we could practice some balancing poses, building some core strength, and seeing where our bodies are at today. Especially because when I am filming this, the weather is chilly and it has since started raining since the last that I checked. So I have my hot tea here to help warm me up, but I think that this class should be a warming class as we're going to be engaging our abdominal muscles, using the strength of our legs, and feeling our connection to the earth, along with deep breathing. So all of those things in combination hopefully will make us feel pretty warm. Things that you might want to have today include a set of blocks or some other kind of prop like a chair that can help lift the ground up and bring it closer to you. In addition to maybe a blanket, just so that if we do any kneeling poses, I'm not sure kind of what I'm going to do, but we might do some kneeling poses. If we do those, you might want to put a little bit of lift underneath the knees so that you have cushion so they're not too sore. They don't get overstretched. But all that being said, I think it's time to get started. So, you know the drill. Whether we're sitting up or laying down, whatever is most comfortable for you, we'll start with seated meditation. And take a sip of my tea while you get yourself situated. And so I'm going to do my meditation seated. I'm going to drink a little bit of tea when I do it too. So if that's something that sounds good to you, you can do that. For my meditation, I am going to focus on the sensation of taste because I am using my tea to warm me up. So meditation really is about focus on one particular thing. Oftentimes, most times we use the breath. So we'll follow each inhale and each exhale, examining the texture, the depth, lots of other things that you are very familiar with if you've been practicing with me for a while. Today I'm going to bring my attention to the texture, the sensation, the change, the temperature of tea. So I'm going to take a sip, hold it in my mouth for a little bit, and then swallow, and examining and bringing my attention to that entire process. So know that any action you use in your day, washing dishes, taking a walk, stacking papers, all of these things can be little acts of meditation if you take the time to pay attention. So for me, I'm noticing changes in temperature, which you can also do with the breath. Noticing the biological process of swallowing. Paying attention to how my mouth and my throat move. As I nourish myself with the breath, with my warm tea. And then for me, I'm also noticing subtle flavors or fragrances. Paying attention to when they arise, when they fall away, maybe changing in the process. So you can do this with the breath as well, noticing if there's anything that smells interesting in the room with you. Maybe your yoga mat has a particular smell. Maybe you applied some perfume or incense or lit a candle before you started. Maybe we're just smelling the air, simply noticing how clear it is. A subtle change in temperature as it draws into the body and is pressed out. A few more breaths here. If you happen to have wandered off, bring yourself back into this moment, in this place. And when you feel ready, you can slowly open your eyes. Come back into your body if you wandered off. And we'll get ready to begin. One more big sip of tea for me. Okay, so we're going to interlace the fingers, turn the palms face up, Inhale, lift them up towards the ceiling. And the entire time that we're working in practice today, I want you to pay attention to where your body is in contact with either the floor or your prop underneath you. So as we take our hands and drop them over to the right, notice how this changes pressure points where your body distributes its weight. Try to keep them even. Inhale through center, exhale over to the other side. Inhale through center, back over to the first side. Noticing your weight shifting. Inhale through center, exhale over to the opposite side. Inhale through center and shake your arms out. Roll through the shoulders. Trying to find all the sticky spots. Well, I have quite a few today. Roll in the opposite direction. Nice and easy. All right, so I'm just checking. We've got Scooter here with us today. He's hanging out. Normally on gloomy days, doesn't feel the best. So, just like the rest of us, right? So we're going to move our props out of the way. You can always skip vinyasa or adjust the practice however you need to during the flow of our class today. So we'll come up to the top of our mat. Big toes touching, heels slightly apart. And we're going to flow through some sun A's and sun B's. So big inhale here. Exhale, release the hands. Inhale, they come up overhead and over the chest. So you'll notice they're not here behind me, which causes us to throw the weight forward and into the toes. They're in front of me, which keeps my weight even through the feet if it may be maybe a little bit heavy in the heels. But we really want to find an even weight distribution through the feet. Big inhale here. Exhale, coming all the way down into our own lap. Inhale, half lifting, trying to keep the weight even in the feet, not rolling towards the toes or the heels. And then exhale, hands down, stepping back and moving through our vinyasa. Taking your time, moving at the pace of your own breath. Big inhale. Big exhale. Then we'll step back up to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold, bending the knees as much as you need to allow the chest to come down onto your thighs. And then bend the knees, inhale, come all the way up, hands above the heart. And exhale, Samastitiya. Again, big inhale here. Exhale, release. Inhale, hands come up. Exhale, hands come down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands down, step back with the opposite foot. Move through your vinyasa. Take your time. Focus on your breath. Moving with its pace, not necessarily with me. Big inhale. Big exhale. And then step up with the opposite foot to the top of your mat. Inhale, half lift, long spine, pubic bone reaching back behind you. Exhale, forward fold. Then from here, bend the knees. Inhale, come all the way up, hands above the heart. Exhale, Samastitiya. One more of those. Big inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale, hands come up. Exhale, we fold back in on ourselves. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands down, step back. Move through your vinyasa. All right. At the bottom of the exhale, step back up in between the hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Then from here, bend the knees. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, Samasthiti. So now we're going to transition to B series. Big inhale here. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Drop your tailbone, pick up your pubic bone. Hands together, lift them up over the heart. And then exhale, come all the way back down into your own lap. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands down. Step back. Move through your vinyasa. Big inhale. Big exhale. Step back up. Nope. Then from here, left toes are going to come forward behind the left hand. Right toes turn out ever so slightly. And then as we slowly come up, left hip reaches back. External rotation on the back leg. So we're feeling our thigh bone go from facing directly down to towards the outside. Then from here, hands can press together. Inhale, lift up through warrior one. Exhale, come all the way down. Step back. Move through your vinyasa. Other side, this time left toes turn out. Right foot comes up behind the right hand. Right hip draws back so that as you come up, hips are parallel to the short edge of the mat. If they're not, back foot has to step forward and to the outside. Then from here, press the hands together, lift up. And then exhale, come all the way back down. Step back. Move through your vinyasa. Then from here, bottom of our exhale, stepping the feet back up in between the hands. Inhale, half lifting. Exhale, forward folding, tucking the chin, and then bending the knees deeply, brushing your fingertips off the floor, coming up for a fierce or Utkatasana pose. And then exhale, Samasthiti. We'll do one more of those. Big inhale. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, lift them up for Utkatasana or fierce. Exhale, come all the way back down into your own lap. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands down, stepping back, moving through your vinyasa, taking your time. Then from here, left toes turn out, right foot comes up behind the right hand. Now take notice of how your feet are interacting with your mat already. Where's the pressure in your back foot? You want to feel it all the way through the pad of each toe, or I should say the ball of each toe and the heel, and firmly down through the the outside edge of your back foot, lifting up through the arch. Same goes for the front foot. Pressure equally across the entire front face, down through the heel. Then lift up, warrior two, warrior one. Oh my goodness, you guys. Exhale, come all the way down. Step back, move through your vinyasa. Other side. This time right toes turn out. Left foot comes forward behind the left hand. Notice where your pressure is. So through all of the knuckles, the balls of the foot, behind you, the outside edge of the back foot. Same thing in the front. Weight through the pad of the big toe and through the heel. Making sure your hips are parallel with the top line of your mat. And then inhale, lift up. And then exhale, come all the way down. Step back. Move through your vinyasa. At the bottom of your breath, come up to the top of your mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Then from here, bend the knees, drop your tailbone, pick up your pubic bone, and lift your heart to Utkatasana or fierce. And then exhale, Samastiti. So hopefully you're feeling warm. I'm feeling very hot, which is good. That's what I want. So I'm going to keep all of my layers on so I can stay warm. But if you need to shed some, feel free to do so. So now we're going to transition to a modified C-series salutation. So hands to heart center, big inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale, they come up overhead. Now from here, focusing on lifting through the heart. But even as we're doing this, lifting with the top of the body, bring your attention to how your feet are holding on to your weight. Make sure they're not gripping. Again, make sure you're not throwing your weight forwards or backwards through the sole of the foot. Try and keep it nice and even as we lift up through the chest and maybe lift back just a little bit. And then we'll exhale, come all the way back down into our forward fold. Now from here, we're going to pick up our right foot and reach it back to the back of the mat. And instead of dropping the knee, we're going to stay up nice and high. So make sure your foot is set off to the side, even though the toes are parallel pointing forwards. So you have horizontal spacing between the feet. Then as we inhale, we'll lift up the chest. So here's our balance challenge. Pressing back through the heel behind us. But notice how this is different from our Warrior One. With Warrior One, our back leg is externally rotated. The top of the thigh bone is facing out. Here, top of the thigh bone is parallel, facing straight down to the mat. And then from here, press the hands together. Inhale, lift them up. So we have a high crescent lunge. That's what this pose is called. And then we'll exhale, bring the hands down, step back. We're just going to step back to downward facing dog. Of course, you can transition however you would like. And we're going to do the other side. So this time, right foot comes forward in between the hands, or maybe right behind the right hand. And again, back leg is parallel. It is turned neutral. So it's not turned in, it's not turned out. Top of the thigh bone, top of your hip flexor facing directly down towards the mat. Tailbone drops. Press the hands together. Lift through your heart. Shoulders sliding down the back. And then when you're ready, we'll open the arms, transition back down. And this time we're going to rock back just enough so that we can step the back foot up to the top of the mat. Coming back to our forward fold. Then from here, bend the knees, inhale, come all the way up. And then lift the chest, paying attention to your feet. I know, kind of counterintuitive. And then close the sequence. So we're going to do that one more time. Big inhale. Exhale, release the hands. Inhale, they come up. We're going to lift the chest up. And then exhale, come all the way down into our own lap. This time we're going to take the left foot, reach it back first. Back behind us. Offset the feet, but keep both parallel. Toes pointing towards the short edge of the mat. As we inhale and come up, hips are parallel to the short edge of the mat. So we're not allowing the right hip to reach forwards. Staying nice and even. So we'll inhale, lift up through the heart. And then from here, we're going to transition. So we'll bring the hands back to heart center. We're going to transition to warrior three. So we're slowly going to peel the weight out of the back foot and lift the back leg, pouring all of our weight into our front leg. And our toes behind us are pointing directly down towards the floor. So we're not stacking the hips. So this is where maybe some blocks might be handy for you, particularly if you're having trouble getting your hips oriented so that they are parallel to the floor. This takes out some of the guesswork in the pose. Keep your standing leg bent just a little bit so that you can make adjustments. One more big inhale here. One more big exhale. And then bend your standing leg deeply. Reach back with the back leg so you can place it ever so gently down. Inhale, lift up through the heart back to your high crescent lunge. And then exhale, bring the hands down. Step back. And we're going to come to downward facing dog. We'll do the other side. Big inhale here. Big exhale. And now this time left foot is coming up behind the left hand. So feet offset, but both sets of toes pointing towards the top edge of your mat. So hips are parallel to the short edge of your mat. The left hip is not creeping forward. See that? Taking it nice and easy. Dropping the tailbone, keeping the pelvis neutral. So if I had a chair underneath me, I could sit down on it and my pelvis would not be tipped forward and it would not be tipped back. Okay, so we're trying to keep it as neutral as possible. Then from here, press the hands together, lift up. Shoulders down, face is soft, so we're not chewing on our pose. And then we'll slowly bring our hands to heart center and transition the weight into our front leg so we can lift off with the back leg, toes pointing directly down towards the floor. Same thing here. If you need to use your blocks in order to get hips parallel to the floor so that we're not lifting one or the other, go ahead and do that. Keep the standing leg just with a little bit of a bend in the knee so you can make adjustments. So balance is not about remaining still. It's about adjusting and moving with your body, with your breath, and with anything else that might be moving in your environment. It's about constant re-evaluation, adjustment, knowing yourself, and offering support where you need it. And then when you're ready, we'll bend the standing leg deeply, reach way back with the back foot, coming back into our high lunge. Beautiful. And then we'll bring both hands down. And from here, we're going to rock the weight backwards just enough so we can step up in between the hands, coming into our soft forward fold. Then from here, bend the knees in, inhale, come all the way up. Hands above the heart, lift up, and exhale. Come back to neutral. Wasn't that fun? So from here, we're going to pick up the right foot, step back, and we're going to pivot the feet so that we are facing our right foot. So if you are at home, you can just step forward and back. We're going to do left and right sides. So do one side and then the other, that's fine. So we're going to come into a pyramid stretch first. So if you need your blocks, you can grab them, put them in front of you. Take them with you. And so in pyramid pose, both sets of toes are roughly pointing towards the short edge of your mat. Your back set of toes can be slightly turned out, so it's not at 90 degrees, it's about 45 degrees off of midline, or even a little bit more narrow. Both sets of hips are parallel here to the short edge of your mat. So from here, we're going to take a big inhale. Exhale, come forwards. So you can come slowly forwards, but we're really working towards keeping both hip bones reaching towards the front of the mat. So in order to do that, your front hip actively is actually reaching towards the back edge of your mat. You can bring your props underneath you. We're feeling a big stretch through the tensor fascia lata, the outside edge of your front foot, and the IT band, the iliotibial band. You can even bring your hand to the back of your pelvis. So because my right foot is forward, I'm bringing my right hand to the back of the pelvis, trying to see with my proprioception, so adding in the sense of touch, with my hands on my hips to try and keep my hips parallel. So now from here, I'm going to move my blocks a little bit further forwards because same thing, I'm going to transition my weight into my standing leg, and now this time I'm going to twist. So toes on my back leg, pointing directly down towards the floor. Right hand comes to the back of the pelvis, so same hand as standing leg. And then, slowly but surely, we can work towards turning our chest towards the direction of the standing leg. Taking some big breaths, all the way in, all the way out. One more here. I know it's difficult. All the way in, all the way out. And then bring your hands back down, and with control, reach back so you can come back to pyramid pose. Nice and easy. And we'll relax down. You can bend your front knee a little bit, coming into a soft pyramid, full expression, so allowing your chest to drape down over your front leg. All right, so you can grab a hold of your blocks and we'll pivot and we'll do the other side. So turning the feet, bringing the left foot in front this time. Right foot is behind, toes are pointing slightly out. You can use a shorter stance than triangle if you would like. Mine today is about as wide as triangle is for me, so it's up to you. Find the spacing that works. What's key is that our hips are parallel to the short edge of the mat. So if you feel like you can't quite get your back hip forward enough, step your back foot towards the top of the mat a little bit and to the outside. All right, same thing here. Inhale, lift up through the chest, keeping a soft bend in the front foot, keeping both hips nice and even. We're going to work towards coming into a forward fold. Now this front hip is the one that I have a little bit of something going on in, so I'm going to stay up really high. I'm going to try and keep my pose pretty neutral. So wherever I am, once I find a place of stability, I'm going to bring my left hand, so same hand as extended front foot, to the back of my pelvis. Now I can feel my left hip is reaching way forwards to the top of the mat. So I'm going to reach it way back if I can. Take some big inhales and exhales here. Reach forwards with the chest. Nice long spine. Then when you feel ready, we're slowly going to transition the weight into the standing legs. That means I need to move my block forwards, keeping my hand on the back of my pelvis, back toes pointing directly down towards the floor. And then, if and when you feel ready, you can slowly turn your chest towards the side of your standing leg. So we're coming into a twisted pose. Low ribs coming in, finding length through your spine. One more big inhale and exhale here. I know it's tough. And we'll relax, bringing our hand back down onto our blocks, stepping way back, and then relaxing into a very soft, full expression of pyramid. So bend your front knee so that you can drape your spine down towards the floor. And then just because we're here, we'll pivot the feet to the long edge of our mat. And make sure the outside edges of our feet are parallel. We're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold, just to fold our energy in and down physically. So we're going to take our blocks, put them in front of us if we need them, and slowly work to coming down towards the floor. So you can bend and straighten your legs. I like to do that to find a good balance between a bend at the hips and a bend at the knees. And then work towards coming down. So today, what feels good for me is allowing my elbows to come down onto my blocks. Now for you, maybe you stay up nice and high. Maybe you use a chair or a wall. But again, bring your attention to your feet. Notice how they're distributing your weight. In order to prevent ankle fatigue in this pose, I always recommend that people press through the ball of their big toe. So not the big toe itself, but the knuckle right at the base of your foot. So the ball of your big toe and then the outside edge of your heel. So you have a dynamic diagonal energy happening across the foot. It engages the ankle, helps keep it from being overstretched. Drop your head, relax it. You can shake it yes and no, or draw little circles with your nose, just to make sure your neck is soft. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale, slowly lift up. Bend the knees. And we'll heel toe the feet in towards the middle. So they're only just a little bit wider than hip width, or they're right underneath the hips. And we're going to transition down to Malasana or garland pose. So my feet are a little bit wide here. So find your spacing and drop your hips. Now, if this is not comfortable for you, you can put a block underneath your hips so that you have a little bit of lift. You can put the edge of a blanket back behind the heels to support them if they float. So wherever you are, we're working towards coming down towards the floor. And our knees are squeezing in towards the body. So there's a tendency to want to let them flop out, but it's counterintuitive. If you squeeze your legs in, it gives you more of a stretch through the low back, helps you lift through the chest, and you can take your upper arms and apply just a little bit of pressure across the front of your legs here to give yourself a little bit more of a lift through the spine, stretch through the low back. And then we can relax the pose, curling in. You can hold on to the opposite elbows. And then we'll relax all the way down onto our mat. We'll do a couple of seated forward folds, seated stretches. So we'll bring the sole of the left foot in, extend through the right leg. Take a big inhale, reach up with both arms. Exhale, come forwards into a forward fold. Big breaths all the way in, all the way out. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale and come up. And before we switch sides, we're gonna lift our left knee, cross the left foot over to the opposite side of the right leg. So whole sole is down on the floor. And then we're either gonna wrap our right arm around the outside edge of our left knee here, or bring the outside edge of the right arm to the outside edge of the left knee. But just be mindful that you're not using your arms to crank yourself into your pose. So we're going to sit up nice and tall. So there's no roundedness through the low back here. Sitting up nice and tall. We're going to come into a twist towards the bent leg. Big breaths all the way in, all the way out. Even though it's hard to breathe in a twist, I know. Do the best you can. We'll inhale back to center, release our pose and do the other side. So this time, right leg coming in, sole of the foot to the inside edge of the left thigh. Inhale, reach up through both arms. Exhale, come forwards into your forward fold. And notice if you have differences between sides and make accommodations. Finding a soft, comfortable, yet challenging version of your pose. And when you're ready, we'll inhale and come up. Same thing before we move anywhere else. We're going to lift our right knee, cross the right foot over the left leg, and come into a seated twist. So see how I was a little rounded here to get into the pose? Then we sit up nice and tall and take the opposite arm and either wrap it around the front leg, or if you have the space, outside edge of the arm comes to the outside edge of the thigh. But for me today, it's better, safer option just to wrap, sitting up nice and tall, turning the shoulders and looking over the opposite shoulder back behind you if that's comfortable. Gaze is soft. Relax your jaw. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale, come back through center. We'll place the soles of the feet together. Drop the knees out to the side if you need to. Find some support for your pose. At whatever level you need to have. Sit up nice and tall. For some of us, sitting up nice and tall is all we might have for the day. For others, maybe we fold forwards. Big breaths all the way in, all the way out. bringing your attention in and down. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale, come up, move our props out of the way, and slowly transition to laying all the way down on our backs. So we'll draw our knees in, give them a squeeze. And then from here, we'll hold on to the right knee, extend down through the left leg. Take a moment here, feel the openness of the left hip flexor. And then we'll take the right knee in the left hand, draw it across the midline. If it floats and it's really uncomfortable or it feels really heavy in the spine, you can use a block underneath the knee to catch the weight. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale, come back through center. Draw both knees in again. Give them a squeeze. And then relax down through the right leg, holding on to the left. Again, feeling an openness across the right hip flexor. And then take the left knee in the right hand. Draw it across the midline. Again, if it floats and feels really heavy, feel free to put a block underneath your knee here. Keeping the twist at the level of your navel and up. And then when you're ready, inhale, come back to center. Bring both knees in one more time. And you can put your hands on your knees and draw circles on the ceiling. Back and forth. Massaging all of the muscles that attach to the back of the pelvis. And then when you feel ready, you can relax into whatever version of Shavasana feels good to you today. So for me, I think that's going to be a variation on traditional Shavasana with some lifts underneath my knees. So I want this to be soft. I'm putting them on the medium height, right underneath my knees, and then I'm going to take my blanket and make sure that I'm all covered up. So tuck yourself in, set yourself up for a relaxed, comfortable pose. So if you're in traditional Shavasana, palms can be face up or they can be face down. Particularly after a really vigorous practice, either leaving them up can be really nice if you have other things you need to do today and you need to keep your energy up. But if you want to continue bringing your energy down, you can fold your hands over your abdomen, placing them palms face down. It's up to you. Big breaths all the way in, all the way out. 3 entirely large breaths, clearing out all the extra energy, all the extra air, anything that might be still holding on in your practice. Exhaling it out, releasing it. And then after your 3 big breaths, relax the breath without control, back to neutral. Noticing where it flows, how it flows, and how with each inhale, the back line of your body presses into the floor or the chair, whatever you happen to be reclining on. And with each exhale, it slowly, subtly lifts back and away. Following your breath as it ebbs and flows. Relaxing and letting thoughts fade away just as easily as they came up. Remember, you are always welcome to stay here as long as you wish. But if you'd like to end with me, you can start to find small movements in fingers and toes, wrist or ankle circles, or roll of the head, or stretch of the arms. Whatever helps you feel most comfortable in your body. And then whenever you feel ready, you can slowly roll off to one side, taking your time. Feeling the expansion of the breath, and the support of the earth underneath you. And then whenever you feel ready, slowly working your way back up to seated. So I hope this class left you feeling a little bit more balanced, a little bit more grounded, a little bit more in touch with yourself. So as always, thank you very much for practicing with me today. Take care. Namaste.